Welcome to your uncensored home for all things Warcraft, with your hosts, Berserker and Navox. This is Unshackled Fury.
Welcome, everybody, to what we might consider a sort of special edition of our podcast. We have a unique situation coming up to us today, and it comes as part of a larger movement that is happening within our community right now, and we felt that it was best to come out and address it as best as we can, and to try to bring about, again, a larger conversation on very serious issues, which we try to do here from time to time on Unshackled Fury. As long as I've had this show, we've always demanded transparency from other people, and it's only right that when we find ourselves in situations, certain situations, that we are accountable for our actions and what we do, and to talk about that here in a public forum for everyone to, well, not see, but at least to hear. So what we're talking about is there are a number, it's a tidal wave right now of accusations out in the community against various members of our Warcraft community, the gaming community, the tech industry. It's all over the place. Of people coming forward with their stories of various kinds of assault and abuse, and it really is an enormous swell of information and of sharing by a lot of folks about a lot of very painful experiences that they've had. And some, for us in our community, we've seen well-known streamer Swifty being accused of a variety of things. A couple of members of the well-known Raiding Guild Method have been called out. Method in general as a team and as an entity, you may have seen, has been enduring a wealth of accusations and all kinds of conversation going on with that. But we've had one that's a little closer to our home, and that's part of what we want to address today. There is a member of our community who goes by the name of Nymph. She goes by @PhoenixNymphy on Twitter. And recently, she put out one of these twitlongers, a long tweet, a story, about her experiences with sexual assault and sexual predators. In this writing, she specifically called out a situation or a series of situations that she encountered with an individual within the Convert to Raid community, a podcaster that we've seen around who goes by the name of Markonin. And she had called out some predatory behavior on his behalf. Following that time, I think we saw a lot of support for her. That information was turned over to the leadership of the Convert to Raid Guild, which, Nav, both you and I are a part of and have been around for a number of years. You one time being on the Converted podcast, a podcast about the guild itself. And there was a conversation within the guild leadership that was had that was essentially members of the leadership trying to figure out what to do with the information that they had received regarding this accusation against Markonin and what, as a guild, should be done. Eventually, there was a couple of tweets about how someone was asked to leave. It was pretty non-specific. Somebody called out later, hey, shouldn't this be more specific? I think Pat Crane came forward at that point and said, yes, it was Markonin. We should be more transparent about this. But one of the things that's come to light afterwards, today, this being Saturday, June 27th, a member of our community by the name of Turarts put out a Twitlonger post of her own about why she stepped away from the Convert to Raid Guild, and in it she detailed the discussion that was had by the Convert to Raid leadership and why she felt it was inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And a few people were called out. One of them specifically was Navox, my co-host here. And Nav and I have been having discussions about this incident, about his reaction to it, about other people's reactions to it. And I know today, Nav, you and I have been talking about it, and you have, I think, correctly come to a realization about how you initially handled this situation, how that could have been done better or differently. And so we wanted to have an opportunity here for folks to hear Nav in his own words and have a discussion here for us about not just this issue specifically, but also this issue at large and what we as a community need to do better about supporting our members. So Nav, if you want to jump in here, this situation was brought to the CTR leadership, and then if you can, just give folks a little bit of insight about what happened and then where you come in on this one.
So this situation was brought forth to the department heads, and in the guild, if something happens to one of our members, if there's a debate against two members of the guild or a disagreement, it's brought forth before a group of people they call the Iron Council, and they send email screenshots, this, that, and the other, and then we're like, okay, well, we get their side of the story and the other person's side of the story, and then you go from there, and you try to come up with a solution for that helps out both parties come to a resolution.
And this is how things are handled for just normal, everyday
just
guild
normal
nonsense.
Guild yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Everyday normal. Yes. When Nymph's story was brought to the attention of the department heads, there was a discussion that took place when there didn't need to be a discussion that took place. Our main focus at that point in time should have been to protect Nymph, protect that community member right off the bat. That should have been the way it was handled. One of the comments that I made was this. This is what I said. There is a lot of front-loaded information and details about past abuses that had nothing to do with Markonnen. Then, when she got to Markonnen, there is very little to go off of. She interpreted this as predatory, but it could easily have been consensual. This sounds like she feels terrible that she cheated on her husband. Flirting with someone and having an affair is an assault. I was wrong for even coming to this situation, addressing the situation as something that needed to be analytical in nature. And after speaking with you and other close friends in this community, it absolutely was not the appropriate way to address this. I should have shot right out of the gate and said, we need to protect this community member and remove him from the situation, and that's it.
Yeah, so if I understand what you're saying correctly, it's that, kind of as we talked about, usually this group of people is making decisions about fairly innocuous guild kind of stuff, but this was something that was more serious and required
absolutely a
different kind of response other than negotiation.
It absolutely needed to be, because this was somebody who was being predatory in the community and was a very high profile in the community. He was a very high profile individual, especially after being on one of the largest podcasts, one of the largest WoW podcasts out there.
Yeah.
So,
Torn Think Tank was huge.
Torn
Think
Tank was
huge, around for a long time.
It was around for a very long time. Everybody who played WoW and listened to podcasts had to have had Torn Think Tank in on their rotation.
I think it is important to recognize how visible Markonnen was as a person or an entity within our realm, because that's part of what makes this so difficult, is whenever
yeah.
there's an accusation against somebody who is a known person who, up to that point, I believe had a pretty clean reputation, to then suddenly see somebody say that he is a predator, out and out. He is a predator.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That shakes things up. And the mistake that is so often made, the one that you made and that you are apologizing for, is that rather than rush to the defense and aid of this person who is coming forward with her story, people will try to both sides it to some degree, or will not necessarily take that immediate action to extricate a potential predator when that's the action that needs to be taken. If you decide later, hey, we found some other stuff out, our primary interest
it doesn't matter.
Our primary interest is to protect people and to have them feel safe in our community, then there should be understanding, hey, this is what we had to do. This is why we had to do it. If something else comes to light later, our only thought was to be protective. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. So what's difficult is we are seeing in our community, frankly, in our society, is a shift of where you are seeing women coming in droves saying, this is what happened to me. This is my story. Mm-hmm. I've been afraid to tell this story because I didn't think anybody would believe me. I don't want to say anything because look what happens. You know, Harvey Weinstein being kind of the big catalyst for a lot of this stuff, and Me Too and all this other information that's coming to light. That is one of the biggest lessons that we have to learn out of this, is that there are untold numbers of women in not just our neck of the woods, it's all necks of the woods, that are being subject to abuse, assault, and they're staying quiet. They're keeping hidden because they don't feel safe coming forward. And it's situations like this, what's been highlighted by Turarts, that the guild felt the need to do some kind of CSI, CTR business to try to figure out, well, is this real? Is this not real? That's not appropriate. And trying to be a judge and a jury and an executioner in that way, we're not a court. This is public opinion. This is the public space. Yeah. And it's different. The rules are different.
No, it is.
And when you're talking about something as serious as assault or abuse, it's way different than somebody got ninja looted.
Yeah.
Way different.
It is. It is, not even in the same category.
And I've seen the arguments out there, right? Like, well, everybody deserves the benefit of the doubt. Okay. Let's take this situation. It comes forward, you hear the story. If you want to find out more information, reach out to Marconin, reach out to the other parties. Sure. But in the meantime, you remove them from the situation. You create safety for the person who has come forward. That should be your primary concern. That should be the first thing that should be done. Instead of, well, I need more information. Before I make a decision. Like that, in situations like this, that is what happens to cause people not to come forward. Because they don't feel that people believe them, that somehow they have to come with even more evidence or more documentation or more whatever to get somebody to come on board with them. And it's tricky. It's a difficult landscape to navigate at times. And this is a process that we all have to go through, I think, to learn how to respond to situations like this. I'll be honest. I've had to go through this process myself. The way I think about these things now is way different than how I used to think about them. When I was in my 20s, particularly when I was in, college, early 20s, I would not have the same reaction that I have now. And a lot of my growth has come from talking to my wife, talking to other women in my life, coworkers, people educating me on their stories, their perspectives, the things that they have suffered through because of the lack of support that we have provided for them. And that's why it's so important now when there are moments like this that we come forward, that we address them, we take ownership of them, and that we try to come through on the other side and say, what can we do better? When we had Copper on here, that was one of the things we talked about is how do we support the women in our gaming? How do we do that? Because they're constantly under assault in a variety of ways. And this is just another example of that where we can do better. And the leadership of CTR failed this person. And
absolutely,
I've already seen that Fraz has jumped ship. Frasley is no longer part of the Converted podcast. I think he's left the guild. I think other people leaving the guild, and it does give you pause. I think that our team is going to have this discussion. I think other teams are going to have this discussion just here locally. But this is a real moment of truth, I think, for a lot of us. And Nav, I know that everybody can take things however they want to take them, and I know people that listen to this show don't know me from a hole in a wall, really, but I hope that you believe me when I tell you that Navox, Adam, is genuinely sorry about this entire thing, recognizes that he did not handle this the right way, and is trying to learn and is willing to learn how to handle these incidents and situations like this in the best way possible. And we have had those conversations, and I truly believe his contrition. And people can take from these things whatever they want. But I think that Nav, I think that you have shown a genuine desire to learn and to grow and to do the right things, as we all should. And I'm the same way. I'm still learning. We all are.
Yeah, I'm ashamed because no excuses. I approach this as I do analytics during the day. I do analysis. I do all this, and I approached it from a break fix standpoint when it's not.
Yeah.
It's not break fix. This is not a here's the problem.
Yeah.
Find a solution. That's like I have to switch that type of thinking also. Yeah. I am absolutely not equipped to deal with that type of situation. Admittedly, I'm not,
and that's where this is an opportunity to learn, and you're not alone. There's a lot of people like this. We're all trying to figure this stuff out because the landscape is changing, and it's changing for the better. And part of that is us figuring out how do we provide that support that people need, and how to be empathetic to people when they come forward and say, this happened to me, and rushing to their aid. That's if all you ever do is that, and it turns out you were wrong, the worst thing that you've done is go to try to help someone who needed help or said they did. And if they took you for a fool or something else happened, you know what? I guess that's a risk that you take, but I would much rather be in that position, than someone asking for aid and going, well, is your house really on fire? It's...
No, you're absolutely right.
So, this is a very important discussion for our community, and this is a very important time for our community. While we've been here in lockdown, and we got coronavirus running wild, and all these things happening in the world, and now we're having this just explosion of events within gaming, and it's important for each of us, I think, to take a look inside and say, okay, where do I stand on these issues? How am I an ally? How do I help? And there are going to be people that listen to this and disagree with what we're saying, and that's everyone's got to go their own way.
Exactly, but then
you want to disagree, go all you want.
Right, exactly.
We need to do a better job. I think we've tried to do what we can through the use of our platforms. I think that we have a lot of privilege, you and I think that we need to continue to do what we can. I'm going to talk about this more when we come back for a regular episode about why the show has been off the air for a month, because there are other more important conversations that need to be had, societally, globally, than talking about Warcraft.
Oh,
And
yeah, big time.
wanted to create some air for that. But right now, with Navox being identified directly in a situation and with the larger conversation that's being had right now, we felt it was really important to talk about it and to get that out so folks can hear this conversation and hopefully learn something or take a moment to look inside themselves and try to do better. So we hope that this has been helpful to some degree and to try to shed some light onto the situation. If you have any other comments, questions for us, anything that you want to add or ask us about, you can find us on Twitter. I am at Berserker Rage. Navox is at NAV_OX. And you can also send us email at unshackledfuryshow@gmail.com. And we're going to do our best to keep this conversation going here, online, and elsewhere. And feel free to engage with us as you wish. So we hope that this has been helpful to some folks. And until next time, please take care of each other out there. Thank you.